So psychological disorders. A biomedical approach is interventions taken to reduce symptoms of psychological disorders, whereas the biopsychosocial considers biology, psychology, and sociology. Biomedical is more biology, whereas biopsychosocial will take into account individuals' emotions and the individual surroundings, such as class and society. DSM-5 is a tool used to describe symptoms and essentially diagnose personality disorders based on symptoms. Um, these different types of psychological disorders. So we have schizophrenia, which is delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thought, catatonia, and negative symptoms. Right here, we're going to have a list of all of that stuff. So positive symptoms are stuff that's added to normal behavior. So, for example, you can be normal and you can add catatonia. Or symptoms involve the absence of normal behavior, such as the lack of normal feeling and expressing emotions. Delusions are false beliefs discordant with reality, and it's not shared by the culture's people. So something really, really different. Uh, reference is reference delusion is environment talking to the individual, so like the reference surrounding is talking to the individual. Persecution delusion is basically someone feeling that there's always a plot against them. Grandeur illusion is person thinks he's remarkable in some way, so it's like a holy figure or like a scientist, inventor. Broadcasting is belief of one's thoughts are broadcasted from head to the world, and insertion is thoughts are being placed into one's head. Hallucinations are perceptions of false reality, voices in the head. Disorganized thought, aka loose associations, is stuff that's said does not make coherent sense. Neologism is inventing new words. Catatonia is spontaneous movements, lack of movements, and a rigid posture. And blunting is severe reduction in expression of emotions. Blunting is one of those negative symptoms. Avolition is a decreased engagement in goal-directed action, so a negative symptom. Depressive disorders. So we have low norepinephrine and serotonin. So major depressive disorder is a 2-week symptom. Low SIG-E caps. Sleep, interest, guilt, energy, concentration, suicidal thoughts, and the P is psychosomatic. Dysthymia is a depressed mood that isn't severe enough to meet depressive episodes that last 2 years. Seasonal affective disorder is a major depressive disorder in the winter months. Usually it's abnormal melatonin metabolism, and you can use light therapy, such as like bright light in the morning, to fix that and stimulate the pineal gland to produce melatonin. Bipolarism is characterized by mania, which is abnormal elevated mood lasting for a week. Usually bipolar has high levels of norepinephrine and serotonin. Digfast is distraction, insomnia, grandiosity, flighting ideas, so different ideas, agitation, speech, and thoughtlessness. Bipolar 1 is manic episodes without a major depressive episode, whereas bipolar 2 is hypomania with one major depressive episode. The way to think about it is bipolar 1 is you feel good, manic episodes without any depression, and type 2 is, well, coming 2 in a race really sucks. So hypomania with one major depressive episode. And cyclothymic disorder is not enough to be characterized as a major disorder, but it's a combination of hypomania and dysthymia. Anxiety, there's generalized anxiety, which is lots of worrying about many different things, and social anxiety disorder, which is anxiety due to social situations, so fear in social performances and fear of embarrassment. Panic attack is fear, trembling, and sweating, and palpitations is fear of impending doom. Obsessive compulsions and others. So we have OCD, which is obsession, and obsessions are persistent, intrusive impulses, whereas compulsions are repetitive tasks. Usually this is a cycle. Obsession increases stress, and compulsions will relieve the stress. Body dysmorphic disorder is when a person has unrealistic negative evaluation of one's appearance, and usually this is one part. So, for example, someone over and over can repetitively get a nose job from a plastic surgeon. Dissociative fugue is sudden, unexpected wandering away from one's location, and dissociative identity disorder is 2+ personalities that take control of one's behavior. So, watch the movie Split, which is 21 different personalities. Somatic disorders. So disproportionate concern about medical condition, seriousness, and increased level of anxiety. Really, everything's in the head. So illness anxiety is basically consumed with the thoughts of having developed a medical condition. Conversion disorder is when unexplained symptoms affect motor and sensory functions. Hysteria is when a woman goes blind after her son's tragic death. Personality disorders. So these are patterns of behavior in which inflexible, maladaptive cause distress. So let me actually zoom up. Maybe this will be easier. So cluster A is weird. Paranoid, schizotypal, and schizoid, odd or eccentric. This is usually what people say. Paranoid is pervasive mistrust of other people. Schizotypal is magical thinking, and schizoid is detachment from social relationships. So if you're a schizoid, you're like a droid. You're not like a social person. You don't know how normal human behavior is like. Then you've got cluster B, which is wild. Antisocial, histrionic, and narcissism. Dramatic, emotional, and erratic. So borderline is instability in interpersonal behavior, and antisocial disregard and violation for the right of others. Antisocial is usually what a lot of criminals. Histrionic is constant attention-seeking behavior, and narcissism is grandiose sense of self-importance. Cluster C, worried. Avoidant, dependent, and obsessive compulsive. So avoidant is extreme shyness and fear of rejection, socially isolated. Dependence is continuous need for reassurance from your parents, someone else, or like your significant other. And obsessive compulsive personality disorder is when a person's individual, perfectionist, and inflexible. This is different from OCD, which is marked by obsessions. So let's go back to this. This is going to be all of those different personality disorders all together right there. Okay, biological basis for system disorders. Schizophrenia is low oxygen levels in the blood, excess dopamine in the brain, and high glucose and cortisol levels. You have decreased serotonin and norepinephrine. Bipolar disorders, on the other hand, have increased serotonin and norepinephrine. So schizophrenia is opposite from bipolar disorder in serotonin and norepinephrine. And you're high risk at bipolarism if you have someone in your family that has genetics. So basically someone in your family has bipolarism, you're probably going to have bipolarism too. All right, Alzheimer's disease. It's a type of dementia and gradual memory loss and disorientation due to time and place. You don't know where you are. You don't know who is around you. You can't recognize people. Very high prevalence in patients older than 65. Genetics. So there's 3 different genes that could have mutations. Presenilin, apolipoprotein E, and beta amyloid. Symptoms are flat sulci, enlarged cerebral ventricle, low blood flow, reduced ACH and acetylcholine producing enzyme, neurofibril tangle, and beta amyloid plaques. These are all symptoms of Alzheimer's. On the other hand, you've got Parkinson's. So Parkinson's and schizophrenia go hand in hand because of L-DOPA. Parkinson's, on the other hand, is marked by slow movements, muscle tremors, and pill rumbling tremors, like moving your fingers and your thumb. Shuffling gait and face is usually expressionless because Parkinson's doesn't let you control your muscles as well. Decreased dopamine, and dopamine is for smooth movements and improper. Basically, the reason you don't have decreased dopamine is you have improper basal ganglia, which produce the dopamine. Parkinson's is usually treated with L-DOPA, which sometimes gives schizophrenia-like side effects because you have increased dopamine then. Parkinson's and schizophrenia, schizophrenia is excess dopamine, Parkinson's is too little dopamine. So if I wanted to do one quick scan, it's going to be like this.